Hey, first of all, I want to thank you guys so much for being a part of this meeting. I know it was very short notice, and I'm blessed beyond measure that you guys are listening in and finding out about some really exciting things that are going on. As a way of introduction, I want to start with introducing my wonderful friend, Sheila Bergeron. And Sheila joined EXP when we were, less than 1,000 agents, if memory serves, right? Yeah. And if memory serves, also joined initially because of the great lead generation systems that we have. But her sponsor, Mr. Romplick, showed her the magic of what she could do, helping other real estate agents succeed and grow and build their real estate business. And went on to recruit some of the top agents in the company, including your favorite and mine, Mr. Brent Gove. And Sheila and her organization have more than 14,000 agents that she has in her rev share organization, making her the #1 female income earner with EXP and one of the top 4 or 5 company wide. And that simply comes from the place that when Sheila talks, she speaks from a place of love. I've had the blessing and opportunity to hear her speak many times. Every time that she does, she touches the crowd in a very different way than any of the other speakers do, because she comes from such a place of love and peace and joy, and has truly the heart of an absolute angel. And it is a pleasure and an honor to be in business with somebody like Sheila. And when she called me up and asked me to take a look at something different, Sheila's one of those people that you would never say no to under any circumstances. And she said it was in the crypto space. And I asked her 2 questions. I said, first of all, Sheila, why would somebody like you in your position, not only do you have your thriving revenue share business, but you've had a very successful sales team. She's a writer, written several books, is on the professional speaking tour. Why would you get distracted with something else? And she said something very profound to me, Sheila. What did you tell me about being distracted?
Honestly, Traci, I don't even remember what I said.
It was something to the effect of that we can either be distracted by it now or be distracted by it later.
Oh yeah, that is what I said.
Yeah, and that stopped me in my tracks. And she also said something else very profound. She said that as we've heard, our wonderful founder, if I could ask everybody to mute their mics, as our wonderful founder, Glenn Sanford, said, crypto is the future. And we as real estate agents have an obligation to see what's coming down the pipe. So I listened, I was intrigued, and she introduced me to some other wonderful partners that I'd also like to introduce. And one of them is Anthony Dezette, and he started his real estate career in 2003 and became the #1 team in the New Orleans market after completing 16 years career in the U.S. Army. Thank you for your service. And he ran a network information system in multiple countries. He's been a coach and a speaker for the last 14 years in the real estate industry space. In 2016, while running the Homes Plus City team in 16 different cities, no small feat, he began a deep dive into cryptocurrency trading and mining. He became a coach and influencer in the crypto space with one of the top trading groups in the world, and has a following of 11,000 traders in the group. And Miss Denise, if I can get you to mute your phone, pretty lady, if you don't mind. And then also Kevin Cottrell. And Kevin is a tenured business executive, originally from the Silicon Valley area. His early career involved both commercial and investment real estate sales and business development consulting before switching to a series of leadership roles at internet infrastructure companies, including Colvin, Curtin, and Burton and Newman, BBN, where he led the team in the 1990s for what went on to become the commercial internet when NFTs net was transformed into commercial use. So these are people that have been in this space for a really long time. His teams collaborated with high-speed infrastructure to who's who of Silicon Valley companies during Netscape, Yahoo, GeoCities, Citrus Records, and so many other Internet 1.0 companies. He's had an extensive background in both real estate and technology, and most recently has built a large organization of agents and brokers right here at eXp Realty, and works closely with his beautiful business partner, Gene Frederick, who's on the board of directors at eXp Realty. So the reason I give you that bio information is that we have here people that have been in this space for a really long time that have learned a whole lot of really powerful stuff. So it's my pleasure and honor to turn the microphone over to Sheila.
Thank you so much, Traci. And I'm so excited to be here with you guys. Our world is changing, our industry is changing, and that's what we want to talk about today. So a lot of people have heard about crypto. When they talk digital assets, people think predominantly crypto. But what we want to say to you today is it goes well beyond cryptocurrency. It goes well beyond real estate. This asset class is literally going to change our world. And Kevin and Anthony and I are very involved with people at high levels with NAR and other corporations that are working to bring this asset class literally to the world. And for us, we care about real estate. Obviously, most of us are realtors, or some of us may be mortgage people, or both. Some of us may be in the title business, but ultimately real estate is the #1 asset class in America, actually in the world. And American real estate is the #1 asset class. So one of the things we want to dive into today is really helping you understand, because we want you to realize this isn't just about learning how to trade crypto. Some of your friends may be into crypto and said, oh, I bought Doge or I bought Shiba and I've made however much money, trading coins. That's not what we're here to talk to you about. What we're here to talk to you about is the change in our world and in our space in the real estate industry that's coming, is already started, and that these people on this call today are working at the highest levels to bring it about appropriately and to help teach you guys what's coming so that you can be prepared for it. So we're going to start. We have a couple different slide decks we're going to go through with you today to help you understand everything. We also have a website with an education center we're going to show you that you'll have the opportunity to opt into if you want. But I think for me and my journey in crypto, just the whole class, just to help you understand my perspective. I had a buddy who was my level 1 at EXP, who was a really amazing salesperson, real estate person. And he kind of disappeared one day. And I'm like, I called him because I'm like, are you okay? I haven't heard from you lately. And he said, honestly, Sheila, I am up all night working the Asia market trading crypto. I'm like, trading what? I had never even heard about it before. And so he got me involved in 2019, just learning about the basics of it. And then another gentleman who's a big EXP guy in the company started getting into it in 2020. And I started talking to him more about it. And I made the mistake that most people make, where I was watching a ton of YouTubers. I probably had 50 YouTubers I was following at the time. And I made every mistake you could possibly make. I, at one point, to be very transparent, was upside down $1 million in my portfolio. And the joke is, if you don't sell, you don't lose. So my key was I was going to hold on for dear life until it came back. And so at that time, I was lucky enough to be introduced to Anthony. And Anthony is a master trader, and he is my coach. He is my mentor. He runs the coaching part of one of the top trading groups in the world. And so he took me under his wing over a year ago now, about a year and a half ago or so, and started teaching me, helping me climb out of the hole. Every mistake I made. I mean, I'm in that older generation. So he kept saying things to me and I just wasn't listening to him. And finally, he finally got me over the hump and got me out of the hole. And then I started making a bunch of money because of what he was teaching me. But through that process, Kevin Cottrell approached me and said, Sheila, we really need to work together. I know you're really deep into the space, and I'm really working with corporate and with Glenn and trying to pull all this together. So he and I partnered along with Anthony and a couple of other guys to say, okay, let's do this and let's bring this to EXP and let's bring this to the whole agent community. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And we created a group that is just within our organization that everybody will get to be involved with if you want, that Anthony is running for us as an educational based platform to help people understand the digital asset class. I'm going to step back for a second and go through the slide deck with Kevin and let him kind of tell you the story about how he came to me and what he was bringing to the table with NAR and how we're partnering with them to work on bringing this to everybody.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, thank you, Sheila. So in the fall, I was working with Gene and a couple of other board members to address the issue where real estate is essentially converging with blockchain and crypto. And so the first problem I had was, much like Sheila, my schooling in the space around crypto and otherwise was looking at YouTube channels. And I quickly realized that this was not going to get me where I needed to get to have a firm understanding. And one of the things that helped me along that road was I have a long relationship with the consultant who's handling all aspects of blockchain and crypto for the National Association of Realtors. Teresa Grobecker is a close friend of mine, and I spent a lot of time with her and started talking about the fact that in the real estate community, base foundational knowledge, not just for avoiding what Sheila did, but just actually really understanding all aspects of this was going to be critical in order to succeed, because this is a fundamental shift in the real estate industry. It doesn't matter if it's commercial real estate or it's residential. We've all heard the stories now. We've seen people selling things with NFTs. We've seen people buying houses with blockchain, but there's so many moving parts behind the scenes. And just as it's kind of a reason that you want to probably sit up and pay attention, the SEC has not been paying any attention to this. And what Teresa and I discuss at length again and again is everybody's driving 155. The SEC is not even on the side of the road looking yet, and everybody's violating the law. So what I discovered was, and you'll see this at the tail end of this, was a foundational, very established educational platform that had a best of breed platform for learning the fundamentals of what you're going to need to know in order to do this. And I brought it to Sheila. We looked at it, and about an hour into our meeting, we looked at each other and said, oh my God, this is exactly how we pull this all together for the real estate community. This is the missing piece. Sheila had been teaching classes in Puerto Rico and Palmas to people. And, we were getting the results. And when she was teaching, she would tell you with glazed eyes, people are just confused. It wasn't getting the traction. And what I had found was an academy that actually had everything laid out. They had world-class instructors. And if people want to be able to trade and invest, it also gives you that foundational knowledge. But what it really does is going to get you to be able to address and be in the market for what Sheila and I are going to show you next.
Okay. So if we can kind of go through this, Kevin, and give them kind of NAR's perspective of what's coming, I think that'll help everybody.
Yeah. So this slide deck, a good portion of it and much more, was presented to a major group of CEOs and owners of leading real estate companies in Arizona last week, because the issue here is that as you look at real estate, everybody talks about tokenization, fractional ownership. There are transactions that are being reported on social media, but there's a lot to it. And so when you see on the slide deck here, and you'll probably, if you're watching this live, will want to get the recording, which we'll be sharing with the team so you can get a copy of it and watch it again. So there's a whole process that occurs from taking a hard asset, which is a real estate asset, and actually going through creating the proper ownership entity so that you can actually create a mechanism by which you can go through and buy it with digital currency. And you can see here, there's the old ecosystem from the left where the real estate is, and actually set up the smart contract or the digital asset contract. It involves a broker dealer. It involves a lot of steps. Now, what's happening in the marketplace in this fractional ownership model is people are skipping the step, for example, of the broker dealer. People are setting up things that are akin to securitized transactions. The way, like when I started at Marcus & Millichap in the 80s, the syndicators used to do this. And if you've been around the real estate business a long time, you know what I'm talking about. The difference here is we're using digital assets instead of traditional capital markets. And as a result, we're violating all sorts of laws. We're going to talk about the regulation and why this is so important for us. So Sheila, if you want to jump to the next slide, I'll kind of jump into a little bit more detail on this. So here it is from a standpoint of the players, right? We've got the asset on the left. We've got a smart contract or an ownership vehicle by which people are going to control the real estate. And you can either have a one-to-one sale where somebody has a house and they want to use an NFT and sell it to somebody who wants to buy it with Bitcoin. Or you have many people that want to come in and maybe they want to buy a commercial building or a portfolio of properties. It could be a bunch of Airbnb properties. All of this is the buzz in the marketplace. But if you don't syndicate it and use a broker dealer properly, you can't just be an agent with a real estate brokerage and do this properly. You're going to be violating all sorts of laws, which you will see in a moment. Now, the good news is there's a solution. This is what Gene and the board asked me to actually go after to come up with a solution. I caution them that what Teresa and I were discussing and what we were doing as far as vetting players in the market is 99% of what we saw was all a direct violation of the SEC regs that you're going to see. And it was going to be very problematic, especially for a publicly traded brokerage like EXP. Some of the things that are coming, and we talked a little bit about the real estate transaction. Teresa and I have been discussing the fact she is on a committee that is working with the largest players in the mortgage industry. They're going to create streamlined blockchain mortgage. On the West Coast in the Bay Area, we're going to be doing beta testing with this. I'm identifying a couple of agents that have listings in the San Francisco Bay Area for Teresa. We're going to get streamlined financing through Fannie Mae. It's coming out in the next 60 days. And what's the big value? The big value is no longer requiring an appraisal. It will be a desktop appraisal. It'll be streamlined. These mortgages will be able to be closed in some cases in 10 to 14 days, and that instead of 30 to 60 days. So it's going to make the listings that are Fannie Mae certified to use blockchain a way faster close, more marketable. And so you're going to see this come out. All of this, though, deals with smart contracts. It deals with blockchain, all of the fundamental things that most real estate agents are not set up. So Sheila and Anthony and I and our leadership team are committed to get this in so that you can learn about it. But in order for you to get in where you can actually understand this, you need that fundamental educational platform that we're talking about at the end of this, because there's lots of terminology. I told somebody in the late fall, it's kind of like learning Mandarin Chinese, but there's no Berlitz instructor for you, right? You're trying to figure it all out, and you're like, what in the world are they talking about? I don't want to go buy coins. I want to figure out real estate, and I want to understand all of this. Now, the good news, again, in the back end of this, what Sheila's going to show you is you're absolutely going to be enabled to actually be successful to invest and not make mistakes. But I'm focusing on what is coming for real estate. So let's jump to the next slide, Sheila. Right, here's the problem. I mentioned the SEC. Everything that we've seen, this being Teresa and I, violates almost all of these, if not every one of them. And you can see these securities laws have not been modified in most cases since 33 or 34. Been around a long time. Well, what's the big challenge? Well, digital assets didn't exist back then. Only traditional capital markets existed. So we've got lots and lots of problems. They affect the mortgage business, they affect the real estate business. So it doesn't do KYC, which is know your customer. It doesn't actually do AML, which you'll see used as a term, which is anti-money laundering. There are a whole host of problems. And if you're wondering if this is going to get fixed, the executive order, which many of you saw posted all over social media last week from the current administration, directed the Treasury Department, of which the SEC is one of their agencies, to fast track regulations to actually get the regulations for the SEC and every other entity that this touches up to the current standards so they can address crypto, blockchain, and the current digital asset markets. So it's coming. Again, Sheila and I and Anthony and the leaders want you to be the best educated agents in the marketplace. If you're not, you're going to have clients asking you to do things, and you're not going to be able to even address what's workable or not. The real challenge is the fact that everybody's driving around at 155 breaking the laws. You're going to have to be able to address this at fairly deep levels, because they're going to hear the wrong advice from lots of people in the marketplace. So let's jump to the next slide, Sheila. So here's what happens. We don't follow the rules. The SEC is really good at doing this. You have run the risk that the brokerage will lose its license. If you're in the mortgage origination side, you'll lose your NMLS license. If you have JVs or MSAs, they'll be canceled and people will be fined, and E&O coverage will cease immediately. So this is probably the most critical issue here. In other words, it is an absolute showstopper when the federal agencies come in and find out. And I tell you what, when Teresa and I work on this, we cringe. Every time we see a webinar, every time we see somebody do an event like they did in Miami last week, all of what they're presenting violates that long list of SEC regs and other federal regulations. And just because nobody's enforced it doesn't mean that the following you see on this slide doesn't occur. And then let's jump to the good news now, right? There are ways to do this the legal way. This is going to be where we make our money in the new world as this actually transpires. Now, the one thing I can tell you, starting all the way back to my early days of the 1.0 internet, right? I was selling the internet where people were buying high-speed connections and co-location, something that people do take for granted now, to people who couldn't figure out when it went from the NSF net, which were research networks, what are we going to even do on the internet? This is going to happen even faster now in the space. the ability for the clock rate and the speed to occur. And one thing we're not really great at in the real estate and the mortgage industry is moving quickly. So our commitment as your leadership group, and for what we're going to get EXP to fast track, is we're going to be the best players in the market to be able to do this. But again, you got to have enough knowledge to be able to take what we're teaching you and what you're going to learn and how the company's going to approach it, to be able to do this, right? You hear people talk about tokenizing, right? That's essentially a method of syndication. It involves broker dealers, and you have to actually do it correctly. It doesn't matter if it's a listing that's going to go that way, or you're representing a buyer pool that wants to buy something that's going to be available to be tokenized. Doesn't matter which side of the transaction you're on. The three players are a brokerage like eXp Realty, a broker dealer, which is the standard capital markets player, and then you have to actually typically have the broker dealer narrowed up to a company that actually is set up to properly structure those smart contracts and the ability to package it all together so it actually works, and you basically can have proper good funds, proper title, blockchain title. And we believe we have identified all of the right players, and that's what I'm going to be presenting to Glenn and the board and how we approach this. So that's the good news, right? You've got the ability to do this, and we're going to get this fast tracked. I think much like EXP disrupted the bricks and mortar marketplace, you're going to see EXP do this again in the convergence of real estate and blockchain. And it's going to make a big difference, right? So as we look at actually doing this, there are people talking about it in the marketplace that real estate agents aren't going to be needed. If anything, they're going to be needed more. And properly trained and educated agents are going to get the lion's share of this business, right? If you don't know how to talk about this, you don't understand the basics of crypto, smart contracts, NFTs, the entire way this is going to work, you're potentially going to have clients ping you about this, and you're just not going to be able to advise them enough that they may go down the road and search for the next person. Our commitment again to you is to provide the entire framework and then get EXP properly positioned to take advantage of this. So you don't have to say no to somebody or have somebody say no to you because you're not properly educated. So that's the gist of why this is so important in real estate. And I know Sheila at this point is going to run through the education platform that we found.
Yes. So with the thoughts of what Kevin just explained to you guys is just understanding that it's not about trading. It's about learning the market, preparing for what's going to happen. And if any of you are not the younger generation, you know, the 20s and 30s generation, they're already really into this. So the younger generation wants the digitization of real estate. They want to buy with Bitcoin. There are a lot of multimillionaires in the crypto world there that are in their 20s. I met with somebody the other day. He's 19 years old, and he and his 10 friends made $20 million trading NFTs. I mean, just insane stuff that's going on with this younger generation, because remember, they grew up with technology. A lot of us didn't. I mean, goodness sakes. Computers came out in the 80s when I was in high school. So, I mean, we didn't have the benefit of these younger people that had an iPhone from the time they came out, right? So just understanding the way the world's moving. We all know we live in a digital world from the time the internet came out. Could you imagine not using the internet? It's going to be the exact same way with blockchain and digital assets. When all the governments start creating coins, when the UN or the central banks, or it's coming. So again, less than 4% of people in the world are currently involved in the digital asset space. They're estimating in the next 2 to 3 years, about 12 to 15% will be involved. In the next 5 years, 50% of the world will be involved in this. And the estimate from NAR, from Teresa, is that it'll take 5 years to digitize half of America with the homes, title, and mortgage. And she's saying within 10 years, her estimate is that every house in America will be digitized. And so it's definitely coming. So we can't encourage you enough to be on the front end of the learning curve and really get your education now so that you can be prepared for what's coming. So what Kevin and I had talked about and discovered is something called IM Mastery Academy. And the reason why we both support this educational platform is because not only was it started by professional traders, Chris Terry was a professional Wall Street trader. He made over $1 billion on Wall Street trading. And his wife, Isis De La Torre, was the CFO of the Federal Reserve of New York. So between them, they definitely have the background. They definitely have the compliance and the regulatory piece, the SEC piece, the FTC piece. They care a lot about making sure everyone's protected. When they created this platform, they originally created it for what's called the Forex market, which is the stock market, the foreign exchange market, learning technical analysis. That's what they originally started with when the product first came out. But then when digital assets came out and cryptocurrency came out, they moved their educational piece to this as well. So they teach you everything from step one of what is a digital asset, what is cryptocurrency, what are the different classifications of digital assets, what are NFTs, what is DeFi, what is the metaverse, which, that's a whole nother conversation with EXP being the first metaverse in existence. So the thing we like about the platform is you don't have to worry about who you can trust, which is the problem I had when I did all the YouTube guys. A lot of YouTube guys are considered pump and dumpers, where they will promote a coin, pump it up so the coin, increases in price, you buy in, and then they sell off their portion, and then it gets dumped because they sold a large portion off. So we want you to be trained by people who are professionals, that are regulated, that have a lot of oversight, similar to us at EXP, because obviously being under the SEC publicly traded, we care a lot about the compliance piece and making sure that we're doing things correctly. So they have all of that built into their system. Their platform, honestly, is just like EXP. They have a lot of pre-recorded classes that are based on the category that you want to learn from. Kevin and I have met with the owners of the company. They're flying to Puerto Rico to meet with us in corporate in a couple weeks. And basically, we're going to create a whole nother category for them in the real estate space and help bring Traci and NAR into it. Now, keep in mind, NAR runs a little bit behind, like Kevin was mentioning, 6 months to possibly 2 years. So there's no certification at this point in this asset class. But because we have Traci on board with us to make sure that the education is being released correctly, she's going to create a series of classes on here that realtors will be able to go through to make sure they're doing things the right way. And along and in line with ISIS from the Federal Reserve, we're going to make sure we're covering our bases and teaching people correctly. But you'll have pre-recorded classes to go through. You will have live mentorship. Like Kevin mentioned, this is a full training platform for trading. So if you really want to dive deep and learn, you would have that ability, but we're not focused on that part. We're focused on the educational piece to help you be able to sell real estate digitally when it comes to fruition. And we do have another partner that we're working with who is the only approved company at this point to do that broker relationship, to actually do a transaction in digital assets. And we should be buttoning that up with them, hopefully within the next 60 days. And we'll be doing more content about that when that happens. But in the meantime, there are over 100 professional traders that work in the space that you'll be able to learn from. They mentor you because you can ask them questions. They are live sessions. They actually own all of their platforms, which I really appreciate. They remind me of EXP when we started. So all of their tools, all of their employees, everything's in-house. They have multiple apps for your phone that can give you technical analysis advice. If you're interested in actually diving into the crypto market, they can guide you through that. But they're a debt-free company. They are in 144 countries already, 16 different languages already. Predominant languages obviously are English and Spanish, but they do have 16 different languages. So if you're thinking globally, for any of you who have agents that have joined you around the world in multiple countries, most of us do that have been at the company a while, you'll be able to offer this to people in other countries as well. So keep that in mind, because this isn't just an America thing. This honestly is a world thing. So we're going to be able to help people in other countries who don't necessarily have the systems that we have here in America, which I appreciate. So the way it's set up is you either buy a package individually, or you buy the 3 most important packages as an elite package. We're encouraging people to do the elite, and this is why. The DCX is the digital asset teaching classes. The FRX is the 4X. So even if you're not going to become a trader, we encourage you to learn from them, because the truth is your clients are going to be, especially if you're working with any of the younger below millennial people, they are doing this at a very high level. So we need to become educated to be able to have conversations with our clients. The first house with Bitcoin was sold in Austin. Teresa has sold houses already through blockchain. So people are really getting into this, and we want you to know what you're talking about and be able to have those conversations with the younger generations and people wanting to do this. The HFX is, if you really get involved, that's more of the high-end leverage trading, options trading, futures trading, things like that. If you wanted to get into that to understand it, again, you don't have to do any of it. We just want you to have the education to be able to speak the language and be prepared for when NAR or the government releases the regulatory specs on what we have to do to actually participate in this. The other thing I appreciate about these guys, the way they run their company, is their mentality is, how can we help people learn and earn and help them do it in a way that they can afford it. So they have a program where if you invite 2 friends that are paying students, you can get your monthly fee waived. So everybody has to pay the initial fee, but the monthly fee can be waived if you bring a few other friends that you know that are paying students. So I think that's really important to understand, that they're really trying to help educate people. And I think for us, it's really important for all of us to go through this and understand it, which is kind of my mission and Kevin's mission. I want to show you the site to just give you an idea. They give you a website that you could send to your family and friends to tell them about the products they offer. They also give you a back-end system that you can go through all the different tabs and stuff that they offer, but the IM Center is the teaching platform. So it's very easy to navigate. When you log in, that's Chris Terry, they have an Academy section over here that you can come into. And depending on what package you want to learn about, you just click DCX and click on the course or enroll. And the classes are broken down in little snippets and videos. They also have handbooks and workbooks, literally step by step. It's kind of like crypto for dummies. They have it broken down so simple. And that if you're, it took me a while. I'm going to be honest. When I first started, it was like Mandarin, just like Kevin said, it was confusing. I'm like, what in the world are they talking about? So it took me a minute to kind of get used to everything. So if you have to go back through the courses, it's okay. They also have the Go Live section over here as well. That when you log into that, it's really nice because you can pick the topic and then you can see their schedule of events of what their trainers are teaching. We encourage everybody to go through the section with Nick Gomez. He has Crypto 101. He teaches about the metaverse and NFT 101. He's one of the main guys that we encourage people to go through their classes to learn from. And then you can actually come down here, and if you like a certain person's style or training, you can click on them and watch all their pre-recorded or favorite sessions. So it's very well organized. And again, we're working with NAR and the owners of IM to be able to create the whole real estate class on top of everything else. But in the meantime, we wanted to get this out to everybody as soon as possible so that you can dive in and start learning. We're happy, Traci, to open it up for questions or stop the recording, or at this point, we've shown everyone kind of our mentality of what we're trying to accomplish. I'm going to hand it back over to you and ask you if there's any questions or.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, you know, this is a good pause point for people that are interested exclusively in the education. And I understand that is definitely the primary intent of this company, is to educate consumers on how to trade crypto, and not only trade it, but even understand it at a deeper level. Because, you know, you've really drilled in that even if it's something that you don't want to invest in, if we want to stay relevant as a profession, we must learn it. So I liked your analogy of the internet, because I had the very first website in my area for Century 21, and I had to fight with my business partner because why would you need a website? You know, so I mean, I'm not that old, but I'm old enough. I'm older than I think I am. Do you mind going into the income opportunity and for people that are interested in that, and then talk a little bit about how the intent to work that with our EXP downlines, how that might all look?
Sure, absolutely. Let me, oops, I got to share my screen again. Give me 1 second. So let me go back to, I got to find my slide deck. Hold on a second. Okay, so again, we're not promoting this piece only because not everyone wants to participate in this piece. And for Kevin and I, it's not about this piece, but we're going to share it for those of you who do want to have another passive income and do already have an EXP organization that you have built. They do offer something that as you help the company build, they do have a passive income available. The difference here versus EXP is you don't have an end like the 7 levels. It never ends. And also you don't have to go 40 wide. You only have 3 people on your front line. So instead of going wide, you go deep. So the goal is that you helping your people help your people, and just putting people under your people. And like with Traci's group and Tom Trung's group and all the leaders in Traci's organization, we're helping them bring their people so that anybody who wants to participate, not only in the education, because we really are strongly in encouraging everybody to learn, but if they want to participate in the passive income, this honestly, to me, is industry agnostic. Because if you think about it, everybody in real estate, everybody in mortgage, and everybody in title has to learn this. They have to, because the whole real estate industry is changing with this. But then think about this. Think about business owners in your community who will have to learn eventually how to potentially create an NFT or digitize something in their business. Think about e-commerce, how local business owners could use e-commerce through NFTs to sell their products in tokens. I mean, there's so many opportunities with how this can play out in our world. And, you know, we all joke about how many years ago, when all of us got into video, we became the digital mayor of our area. And we used to go to businesses and create videos about the business owner and build our relationship with the business owners. And then that helped us, you know, because the business owner would promote it on their site, we'd promote it on our site. But this actually helps you truly become the digital mayor of your area, because you're literally helping people move into this new emerging market. And it's literally going to be bigger and faster than the internet. That's what I need you to understand, how fast and how big this is happening. And when you see people like, I just saw a post yesterday that Meta, you know, Mark Zuckerberg's creating something besides the metaverse to tokenize his product. When you look at Kevin O'Leary and Mark Cuban and some of the richest people in America getting involved in this, and Elon Musk selling Teslas with Dogecoin, I mean, it's not going away. So if you want to build a passive income, basically you would bring 3 people, and then working with Traci or whoever it is that sponsored you at EXP, because we're going to keep everybody in their groups. whoever sponsored you, if they want to do it, or Traci will help you. She can help do meetings like what we're doing. And Kevin and I are going to set up a schedule. We talked to Traci about this last week. We're going to set up a schedule where we're going to do this presentation a couple of times a week live, that you'll literally just be able to bring all your people. Or Traci will give you this recording that you'll be able to send people. So we're going to make sure you have all the help and content you need to support you, to help feel comfortable inviting people to join along with you. Do you want me to dive deeper into it, or? Oh, you're muted.
Yes. Go deeper.
Deeper? Okay.
Yes.
So imagine Kevin, Traci, and Gordon are my three friends. Whoops. Did I lose you guys? Kevin, are you there? I just locked up. Am I back? Am I back? Hello, hello.
Of what IM Academy is. So if you look at it, it's the foundation of what we're doing. And then at the opposite end of it is all of the stuff around blockchain and crypto and the convergence with real estate. And so we're going to have Facebook groups, we're going to have a Discord, we're going to have a lot of additional things we're bringing to the table. And so one thing that Sheila just went through, which is the business opportunity, there is rev share. I can tell you in my journey of this, I was looking at it strictly from an education standpoint. And when I was trying to do, when Gene and a couple of board members sent me out on the project to figure out for EXP how to do this. And it wasn't until a couple of Zooms where I had a couple of people in my organization take a look at it for me. I'm like, do you see what the value that I see? And they all signed up. And then the next week there were 26 people there that they invited, and like 16 of them signed up. And the guy that introduced me to this said, you do know there's rev share behind this. They actually have a business on this. I didn't even know. So, and then what we discovered pretty quickly is not just in the real estate world, just across all customers, if you will, everybody wants this. This is the number one thing you're going to see this year, is not only convergence of real estate with crypto and blockchain, but education is what people are missing. They're getting FOMO from looking at other people. And it really is the best opportunity for people to actually get in a manner where if they pay attention and they'll invest their time in it, they can actually participate in the market, not just the real estate agents. I mean, anybody that you know in your sphere, past clients, people in your community, this is what they're clamoring for. And what I discovered, because the one that I mentioned to you went from 26 people, 16 signed up, 3/4 of them had nothing to do with real estate. They were just their friends that all found out they had found of education for real estate. And this has, if we compare this to agent attraction, this has a very high tech rate, right? Doesn't require licensing. It just requires a desire to learn about crypto and digital assets and everything from NFTs to the metaverse to all aspects of it. And then again, with our Crypto Academy, which we're layering on top of it, we're going to go even deeper for people that want to take things to the next level and want to make this an investment strategy as well.
I'm going to talk about Crypto Academy real quick, if you don't mind, because Crypto Academy is a brand that we're putting together right now as we speak, and you guys will see it's a brandable, I guess, brand that will cater to the masses. And what we're attempting to do, what we're going to do, is create that community in education and learning. Because what happens is, just like with EXP, just like with another real estate company, you can get into a business and you're kind of on that lonely island, whatever your business model may be. So we're creating a community for everybody to work together, learn from each other. We're putting together an amazing branding package right now that you can share and be a part of with us also. And the way that we do make money is by bringing people potentially through the education system with IM.
And it doesn't necessarily has to be an EXP agent.
Absolutely not.
No.
This could be the consumer. And that's what, this is definitely not specific to any real estate agent. Guys, right now, as you probably know, crypto is one of the hottest topics in the entire world. I run a Discord. Well, I am partnered in a Discord with 11,000 people, okay? When we get to, when people ask about paying a specific price to get into something like IM, it's not cheap. It's a little bit of money, but the fact is, you go to any Discord that's worthwhile to learn in and grow and make money, it's hundreds. I have Discords that I'm in that are it's literally thousands of dollars a month. Okay. And with that said, there's 11,000 people. It's a global reach. I'll tell you, my Discord alone that I'm in with these 11,000 people, they're in every country throughout the world. You know what I've become? I'm known as the real estate crypto guy in that Discord. I've brought in probably 17 people into my organization, from Colombia, different parts of the country, just because of my relationships with crypto partners across the world. So again, if you look at this as an opportunity to grow a community, I mean, literally that crypto academy that I'm putting together on Discord, guys, you can invite anybody in the world there. We want people to come in. We want people to learn and grow together, create community. Our goal is to get people really educated up enough to where they can actually interact and maybe be trainers within Crypto Academy, the Discord, and help people grow and get better. We're creating a massive community, a massive push that we're going for.
Yeah, and so the question about outside real estate agents, right? We've got 77,000 agents at EXP. There's 1.8 million agents in NAR. The opportunity outside for you to get in relationships and present value is something that's not lost on Teresa from NAR, Sheila, and Anthony and I. We're going to be, as far as Crypto Academy, if you're involved in this, enabling you to run events, whether those are lunch and learns, whether those are online events, whether those are things where you're looking to expose the overall real estate community to this. We're already seeing that there are people within EXP that are running lunch and learns, their own version of something, trying to get people into a room, and they're having 50 to 100 people show up, and then they're tagging on an EXP Explained in the back end of it, and they're having no problem getting the rooms to be at capacity because people want to learn about this. So the answer for you is, this is probably one of your highest value, easiest way to get in a conversation with the largest group of agents in your marketplace or marketplaces. They get them in the room or online because they want to learn about this. This is something that's of interest. And so we look at this as a way to get you out in front of lots and lots of agents that at some point you can then have a conversation about them joining EXP, because there's way more agents outside of EXP than there are inside of EXP, even though we have 77,000 agents. So it is a huge opportunity for attraction as well.
It really is. I need y'all to understand that part. I've done very well with that. Like Germany, I got people in so many different countries that are asked me. Like I met with an 80, they didn't come on board, but in India, I met with an 80 agent team in India, just because of my relationship with another trader in India in one of my Discord groups.
Mhm.
Good. Any other questions, or Traci, is there anything else you want us to dive into on this right now?
Well, that was one of the conversations that I had with Sheila. Obviously we have, in my humble opinion, an obligation to let everybody in our organization know that this is an option. And if it's something that they want to be involved in, it's a great way to actually learn crypto. And if they want to be involved in the investment opportunity, that's great too. But all of us know bright people outside of the real estate industry that are looking for opportunities now more than ever. And everybody, like you said, there's only two things that people talk about right now, and one of them is crypto. So it's a very easy conversation. I've had probably 20 or 30 conversations in the past 4 or 5 days with people, and just casually threw out there, hey, by the way, are you interested in learning more about crypto? Every single one of them has said yes. So it's the easiest conversations that I've ever had. I can tell you that. And it looks like Gordon has a question.
Oh, I just had a quick question about the company that you had mentioned earlier. Are they involved with the first NFT sale that was in Tampa by chance?
Well, they were not. There was a company based out of the San Francisco Bay Area that was involved with that NFT sale. And so they don't have anything to do with that particular company.
Okay. Yeah, that was my
and just from a footnote standpoint, Teresa and I looked at what they did, and that was, from a technical standpoint, a violation of the SEC rules. They essentially did a unsecuritized transaction without registering with the SEC.
That was my question, because I think it was a lot of hoopla about that in the industry as well. I pay attention to it, so I'm not the most educated, but I do pay attention to the crypto world.
Yeah. So what you're seeing, and Gordon's referring to an example that got a lot of social media press, where somebody took an NFT and did a digital transaction with a piece of real estate in Florida, and the net result is they violated all those laws and the SEC rules. as far as running a securitized transaction without a broker dealer. And as a real estate professional, you don't want to ever intersect with any of that, because when the SEC comes up for breath, they release their regs, they're going to go start looking at what people are doing. And again, our commitment is to keep you out of harm's way, and you don't want to be following that path.
Awesome. Well, if no one has any other questions, Traci, what I would encourage you to do is just text Traci and have her send you her link or the link for whoever your sponsor is. She's organizing her group. We will continue to do education. Traci's involved in the group already, and she's watching all of the comments and things that we're putting together. So she'll be able to help you start getting into the Facebook group, the Discord group, and the other things that we already have available for you guys. And then we'll just continue building this together and helping you guys along this journey. And I would think within the next 30 to 60 days, we'll have a lot more clear picture between the IM owners, NAR, and EXP, because we're meeting with people from corporate, just to try to pull all this together so that we're making sure we're doing our part to protect everybody and then move this along as fast as we can. So thank you.
And
Thank you
on
so much.
that, just to reiterate, because we didn't really go very deep into the compensation plan, but as you mentioned, you're only building out 3 legs. So again, the intent is to keep our leaders in alignment. So if you decide that you want to sign up and you're not first level to me, then we'll reach out to your sponsor and see if they want in, and then they've got 9 to 10 days to decide if they do. But for those of you whose sponsors are not interested, or if you're front line to me, it really is the first agents that raise their hand and say, yes, I'm in. We have to put them in one of those 3 slots. So the opportunity here is truly enormous if this is something that you want to do as an additional revenue stream, or if you know somebody that's bright and maybe in another industry that's looking for an opportunity. And as Sheila said, everybody in that 20 to 30 age bracket and even younger, it's just almost an inherent, I at least want to learn. So whatever I can do to serve you, I've put my my phone number in there. Text me if you're interested. And if you're in Dave's organization, of course, you'll go into his line as well. So I really think it's going to be a win for everybody. And the biggest thing is, Sheila, I'm just honored and blessed to be in business with you and in this additional business. So thank you so much.
I want to
It's our
capitalize
pleasure.
on what Traci said, guys, because that is, with the way the structure is built, you literally do want to call Traci and say, hey, get me in, because we're building this deep, okay? And I mean, deep with the line with you guys, all of our agents that we're all partnered with. And look, the closer you are to the top with that with her, it really will benefit you in a huge way.
And guys, if you don't mind sharing, what are the top income earners in this company making per week?
Well, they do have guys that are off the chart already that are making 5 million a week. They've been in it for 9 years on average, but they're making 5 million. So those are obviously the early adopters. But the people that are on the chart, their income a week is 180 something thousand a week. So
yeah, absolutely. So Sheila, the way I answer this question for anybody at EXP in context, they have way more people earning way more than Sheila Brent and Rob Flick and Gene Frederick.
Yes,
And a lot more people. So because there's no licensing required, because it grows so much quicker, and because there is so much demand globally for this, they basically re-rank you and move you up weekly. So as things grow, you can move up very quickly. There's no monthly cycle, it's a weekly cycle. And so, and there was a question about more details on this. Sheila and I will make sure that there's a deep dive video on the comp plan that we can share. If you're interested and you sign up, there's a lot of information about it, but just know that our commitment to you is to make sure that we help you execute. As Traci mentioned, unlike EXP, there's a 10-day holding tank. So as she's assembling her organization, and Dave is as well, you're going to get dropped in. If your sponsor comes in 3 days after you, everything will stay copacetic. And it's not like EXP where everybody's got to know who their sponsor is when they first come in. So we do have a lot more time to be strategic about helping you do this if you do raise your hand and decide to come in. And that gives Traci and Dave enough time to include people that weren't able to come on here.
Yeah, and Traci will also be able to get you into the Facebook group, which we've already preloaded all of the content that you would possibly need, videos, documents, step-by-step instructions of what to go through for the classes. We don't want people to be overwhelmed, you guys. We're not trying to just like open the fire hose on you. But the truth is, like I said to Traci, you're either going to learn now or later. So if you come in early, take your time before this really gets ramped up. The truth is, you're going to be on the front end of not only the real estate industry, but a completely new emerging market. Imagine if you could have been at AOL when the internet started. That's what this is like. I mean, you're literally at the beginning of a brand new market. This is the new industrial revolution, but it's a digital revolution. This is literally what we're talking about. And you're now at the now in the driver's seat at the beginning of it. So
yeah, I can tell you how this plays out. 1993. I was selling commercial internet for Veronica Newman. Most people don't even know the company name. They built the internet for DARPA, the federal agency, TCP/IP, which is everything from the email addresses you use to how the exact internet works. Nobody knew what it was, and then when we commercialized it, the second quarter, the CEO of the company came out to the Bay Area to say, "What in the world is going on? You guys sold 10 times as much as what we sold in our headquarters region. We've been operating for 3 years." They had no idea. This is going to be even bigger than that, right? The world is now pivoting around this. Real estate is converging with blockchain and crypto. And you're going to be as irrelevant as the people that told me, well, I don't even know why I'd want a website or why I would want an internet connection. They pretty quickly figured out that that's not the way the world works. And it happened very quick, and this will be even quicker.
I put my web address, cryptoforrealestateagents.com. You can click on there, learn more. That's the site that Sheila showed. And then there's a join now button down there. Sheila, you suggest that everybody do the what package?
the elite, so that you have all the classes that you can go through. If you do the elite, it winds up being cheaper than you buying each set of classes. And the reality is you really do need to learn comprehensively to understand and speak the language when people start approaching you.
Right.
And we'll,
Right.
again, we'll be adding more to that.
And again, we're going to do everything we can to really build out our organization and stay as congruent to uplines as possible. But, you know, there's a small number of days where people have to jump on board. Otherwise, we have to put you into somebody else's line. And that's the great news, is that the only way for any of us to build is to continue to help build each other's organizations.
Exactly.
Hey, Traci, I have a question. It's Rizwana here.
Hi.
Hey, so like, what about people that can actually create like these artworks of NFTs and things like that? Is that like something for them? Because that's what I went to school for, is graphic design, and I'm trying to get into the NFT space. And I have a lot of ideas of what I want to create. So is that like something good for the artists?
Absolutely.
I'll tell you that.
Tell you a